Section 1 of the Cake and Biscuit Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Betty B. The Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Preface and General Directions. The recipes in this book are English, French, Portuguese, and Dutch, while some of the best come from America, which is the true land of cakes. All are good, the best I have starred. Amateur cooks should know that for cakes to be successful, it is almost imperative that they are made and baked by the same person. Delegation too often means ruin, the bond of sympathy between maker and baker being only in very rare instances sufficiently close to defeat the imp of mischief that lurks in every oven. Lastly, I might say that the eggs cannot be too fresh, nor the butter too pure, and molasses is better than treacle. General directions for cake making. Utensils. Use earthenware bowls and wooden spoons for mixing. Several sets of tins are necessary if cake is to be made often. 1 or 2 ordinary round tins, a tin with a hollow tube in the center, square tins, and shallow round tins about 8 inches in diameter for jam, sandwich, and layer cakes, should be kept. A small dripping pan is very good to bake gingerbread in, and for very light cakes, the German tin with a loose bottom should be used. These tins are excellent, for the bottom can be pushed up away from the sides, and there is no danger of the cake being broken in taking it out of the tin. They can be bought at Harrod's Stores, Brompton Road. Measuring. Flour, sugar, salt, ground spices, soda must always be sifted before measuring. This is of the utmost importance in making good cakes. A cup is a breakfast cup holding half a pint. The spoons are the silver ones in general use. A spoonful of dry material is one in which the convexity at the top corresponds to the concavity of the spoon. A scant spoonful should be made level with the edges of the spoon. In measuring half a teaspoon of dry material, fill it first, and then divide it with the knife long ways down the spoon. A heaping cupful is a cup filled as full as it will hold. A cupful should be leveled. A scant cupful should not be filled above about 1/4 of an inch from the top. It is necessary to remember in measuring half or quarter cups that a cup is smaller at the bottom than the top. It is more satisfactory measuring to have half-pint measures marked into quarters. Table of measures. 4 cups flour equal 1 quart or 1 pound. 2 cups of butter solid equals 1 pound. 2 1/2 cups powdered sugar equals 1 pound. 1 cup equals 1/2 pint. 1 glass equals 1/2 pint. 1 pint milk or water equals 1 pound. 9 large eggs equals 1 pound. 1 tablespoon butter equals 1 ounce. 1 heaping tablespoon butter equals 2 ounces. Butter the size of an egg equals 2 ounces. Baking powder. Baking powder can be used in the making of most cakes. In some, however, the proportion of carbonate of soda and cream of tartar of which it consists is not right, in which case the 2 ingredients should be used separately according to the directions. Almost invariably soda should be mixed with milk or water, which should then be strained in order to keep back any dregs. Cream of tartar should be mixed with the flour, which should then be sifted. Both cream of tartar and soda should be pulverized before they are measured or used. Baking powder can be bought or made as follows: 1 part carbonate of soda, 2 parts cream of tartar. It should be kept in an air-tight tin. In nearly all cases baking powder is best mixed with the flour, which should then be sifted through a fine sieve. To clean currants. Sprinkle the currants with flour, put them on a coarse sieve, and rub them until the stems and grit are separated and go through the sieve. Then wash thoroughly in water, changing it until clear. Drain on a towel and pick over. Dry, if the weather permits, in the sun, not in an oven. To stone raisins. Pour boiling water over the raisins and let them stand in it for 10 minutes. Drain and rub each raisin between finger and thumb till the seeds come out. Cut open or chop. Sultanas. Pick over sultanas carefully, removing the little stems. To blanch almonds. Put the almonds into boiling water and let them soak in it until the skins rub off easily between the finger and thumb. Drain and spread out to dry. To pound almonds. After blanching, let them soak for an hour in cold water. Then pound in a good sized mortar until reduced to a soft pulp. Whilst pounding, add a few drops of orange flower water or lemon juice. Mixing. There are 3 ways of mixing: stirring, beating, cutting, or folding. To stir, let the spoon touch the bottom and sides of the basin and move it round quickly in circles of various sizes. Do not lift it out of the mixture and work well against the sides. To beat, tip the bowl to one side, bring the spoon or fork quickly down into the mixture and through it. Take it out the other side and bring it over and down again, scraping the sides well each time it goes in. It is important to keep the bowl of the spoon well scraped out during mixing. Beat quickly and hard. To cut or fold, turn over the mixture with a spoon and lift it up, folding in the white of egg as lightly as possible. Do not stir or beat, but mix very gently until quite blended. To beat eggs. It is generally best to beat the yolks and whites separately. For beating them there is nothing better than a Dover egg beater, although a fork can be used for the yolks and a steel knife for the whites. Beat the yolks in a bowl until they thicken and become light and creamy. Beat the whites on a platter until they are stiff and absolutely dry. To beat butter. In beating butter to a cream, if very hard it can be slightly warmed in the oven or put into a hot bowl, but it must on no account be melted. It should just be softened in order to make it more easy to beat it. To grease and fill tins. Tins can be greased with fresh butter, lard, or sweet oil. Sides and bottom should be evenly but not thickly smeared with grease. When a tin is to be lined with paper, cut a piece to fit the bottom exactly, another piece to go right round the sides. This piece should project 2 or 3 inches above the top of the tin. Grease the papers thoroughly before putting them in the tin. Fill the tins 2/3 full, leaving a very slight depression in the center if a flat cake is wanted, as the tendency is to rise in the middle. The oven. Nearly all cakes should be baked in a moderate oven, and the fire should be so made up before putting a cake in the oven that it will not have to be touched again until the cake is taken out. If this is impossible, owing to the length of time it takes, add a little coal frequently to the fire instead of letting it down and making it up with a great deal of fuel. In baking in a gas stove, it is important that there should be no drafts from window or door. Set the cake in the middle of the oven and do not move it until it has risen its full height, which will take about half the time in which it is baked. For the first quarter of an hour it is not necessary to look at the cake unless there is a fear that the oven is too hot. Afterwards do so occasionally, opening and shutting the door very gently and never taking the cake out. After it has fully risen, the cake can be turned round if it is baking quicker on one side than the other. Do not have anything else in the oven while baking a cake. For layer cakes and thin cakes, make up a larger fire. They should bake quickly. To test whether a cake is done, put a clean straw or skewer into the thickest part of it. If it comes out clean, the cake is done. To remove cakes from tins. With a few exceptions, cakes should be taken out of their tins directly they come out of the oven. Turn the tin upside down, and if necessary, loosen the sides with a knife. Set on a sieve to cool. To all cake mixtures add a little salt, sifting it with the flour in the proportion of a small saltspoon of salt to every half pint of flour. Keep flour and sugar in a dry place or dry thoroughly before using. End of section 1.
Section 2 of the Cake and Biscuit book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Ashley Jane. The Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Sponge Cakes. General Directions. In making sponge cakes, beat the yolks till creamy and thick. Add the sugar gradually, beating all the time. Add the flavouring. Beat the whites until perfectly dry and very stiff. Stir them lightly in. Sift in the flour and mix as lightly as possible. Do not beat after the flour is added. Line the tins with greased paper and bake at once. American Sponge Cake. 3/4 pound of powdered sugar. 1/2 pound of flour. 7 eggs. Grated rind of a lemon. 3 teaspoons lemon juice. 1 gill cold water. Break the eggs in a basin, leaving out the whites of 2. Add to the eggs the lemon peel and juice. Boil the sugar and water together until clear. Pour the syrup gently over the unbeaten eggs and beat quickly and well for 15 minutes. Sift the flour 3 times and stir it lightly into the mixture. Bake in square flat tins. Use the whites to make an icing. Berwick Sponge Cake. 6 eggs. 9 ounces powdered sugar. 12 ounces sifted flour. 2 even teaspoons cream of tartar. 1 even teaspoon carbonate of soda. 1 lemon. Beat the eggs, yolks and whites together, with the sugar until very light. This should take about half an hour. Take half of the flour and sift it gradually into the eggs and sugar. Mix the cream of tartar with a gill of water and add it to the mixture. Beat for a minute. Add the rest of the flour and the juice and rind of the lemon. Add a little salt. Mix well. Dissolve the carbonate of soda in 4 tablespoons of hot water. Stir it carefully in. Beat again. Bake in large square or oblong tins in a quick oven. Gâteau de Savoie. 1/2 pound powdered sugar. 12 yolks of eggs. 6 whites. 1 whole egg. 5 ounces potato flour. 5 ounces finest flour. The grated peel of a lemon and a half. Grate the lemon very finely. Mix it thoroughly with the sugar. Set it where it will become very dry. Dry the flowers and sift them. Beat the yolks, the whole egg and the sugar together until very light and creamy. This should take about half an hour. Then sift in the flour and potato flour gently and beat lightly with a whisk. Add the whites, which should be whisked to a stiff froth. Mix lightly. Butter a mould and sprinkle powdered sugar in it. Pour the mixture into it gently. Set the mould in a moderate oven over a tin containing hot ashes and put a piece of greased paper over the cake. Bake for about an hour. Milanese Cake. 4 eggs. Their weight in sugar. 2 ounces flour. 2 ounces potato flour. Juice and rind of half a lemon. Handful of sultanas. Set aside 2 whites and whisk them to a stiff froth. Put the flour and sugar in a basin. Mix them. Make a hole in the centre, break the eggs into it. Mix all together and beat for 1/4 of an hour. Add the beaten whites, a large handful of sultanas and the lemon. Bake 3/4 of an hour in a well-greased mould in a moderate oven. Sponge cake. 4 eggs. Their weight in powdered sugar. The weight of 2 eggs in flour. Put the sugar, with which should be included several lumps which have been well rubbed on a lemon and then crushed, into a basin and break the eggs onto it. Beat with a steel carving fork until the mixture becomes thick and creamy, which should take from 20 to 30 minutes. Stir in the flour as lightly as possible. Put into a tin lined with buttered paper and bake at once in a moderate oven. End of section 2.
Section 3 of the Cake and Biscuit Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Betty B. The Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas. White Cakes. Almond Cakes. Number 1. 1 pound flour, 1/2 pound sweet almonds, 10 bitter almonds, 1 pound white sugar, 8 eggs, 1 wineglass brandy. Blanch and pound the almonds. Beat the yolks and sugar together till light and creamy. Whisk the whites to a stiff froth. Add them to the butter and sugar. Stir in the flour until thoroughly mixed. Add the almonds. Bake in a tin lined with greased paper in a moderate oven for an hour and a half. Almond Cake. Number 2. 7 eggs, 1/2 pound sifted sugar, 1/2 pound almonds. Blanch and pound the almonds. Beat up the yolks of the eggs for 10 minutes. Add the sugar. Beat again thoroughly. Add the almonds. When well mixed, add the whites, which should be beaten stiff. Bake in a German tin. Angel Cake. 1/2 pint fine flour, 1 teaspoon cream of tartar, 3/4 pint powdered sugar, 11 whites of eggs, 3 teaspoons vanilla. Add the cream of tartar to the flour. Sift 5 times. Sift the sugar. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Stir the sugar lightly into the whites of eggs. Add the vanilla. Add the flour. Stir in lightly and quickly. Pour into a clean, bright tin. It must not be buttered. Bake in a moderate oven for 40 minutes. When done, leave in the tin, inverted on its edge (not completely upside down) on a sieve until cold. Cocoanut Cake. 1 cup butter, 2 cups sugar, 3 cups flour, 4 whites of eggs, 1 small cup milk, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1/2 small cocoanut grated. Beat the butter and sugar to a cream. Sift the flour with the baking powder. Add it to the mixture, gradually moistening it with the milk. When thoroughly mixed, add the grated cocoanut. Beat for 10 minutes. Stir in the whites beaten to a stiff froth very lightly. Bake immediately in a buttered tin in a moderate oven. Cocoanut Pound Cake. 1/2 pound butter, 1 pound sifted flour, 1 pound powdered sugar, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1 teaspoon grated lemon peel, 1/4 pound grated or desiccated cocoanut, 4 eggs, 1 cupful milk. Beat the butter to a cream, add the sugar, beat again. Add the sifted flour, in which the baking powder has been mixed, well beaten eggs, and milk alternately in small quantities. Stir all well together. Add the cocoanut and lemon peel. Beat well together. Use shallow, square tins. Butter them and line as well with buttered paper. Pour the mixture in to the depth of 1.5 inches. Bake in a quick oven. Ice while hot and set back in the oven for a moment to dry. Dutch Almond Cake. 1 pound sweet almonds, 1/2 ounce bitter almonds, 1 pound powdered sugar, 12 eggs, 5 tablespoons pounded biscuit or flour. Rose water. Blanch and pound the almonds, adding to them a little rose water. Beat up the yolks. Add them to the sugar and beat thoroughly together. Then add the whites, whisked to a stiff froth, and the pounded almonds. Add the finely crushed biscuits or flour. Bake in a moderate oven in a German tin lined with greased paper. Eversley Cake. 5 ounces butter, 6 ounces best flour, 3 eggs, 5 ounces castor sugar, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, 1/4 pound mixed peel. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar, then the flour and well-beaten eggs, the sliced peel, and lastly the baking powder. Beat all together for 20 minutes and bake in a good oven for an hour. Lady Cake. 1 cup butter, 2 cups powdered sugar, 3 cups flour, 1/2 cup milk, whites of 8 eggs, 2 teaspoons cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 1 teaspoon extract of almonds. Beat the butter to a cream, stir in the sugar gradually, beating hard all the time. Mix the cream of tartar with the flour and the soda with the milk. Add flour and milk alternately in small quantities, beating continually. Add the flavoring and then stir in the stiffly beaten whites lightly. Bake in a moderate oven in a tin lined with greased paper. Potato Flour Cake. 1 pound butter, 11 eggs, 1 pound sugar, 1 pound potato flour, 1 wineglass rum. Soften the butter, then beat it until very light and creamy. Add to it alternately 1 whole egg, 1 tablespoon flour, 1 tablespoon sugar, beating well between each addition. When about half the materials are used, add the rum. Add the rest of the ingredients alternately as before. From first to last the cake should be beaten for an hour. Bake in a buttered tin for 1 hour and a half to 2 hours. Pound Cake. No. 1. 1 pound butter, 1 pound powdered sugar, 10 eggs, 1 pound flour, 1/2 wineglass sherry, 1/2 wineglass brandy. Cream the butter, add the sugar and well-beaten yolks. Beat thoroughly. Add the flour and wine, beating all the time. Stir in the whites, which should be whisked to a stiff froth. Bake in 3 or 4 small, well-greased tins in a moderate oven, as this cake is always lighter if baked in small tins. Crystallized cherries, halved, are an excellent addition to a pound cake. They should be thoroughly mixed in the cake before the whites are added. Pound Cake No. 2. 1 pound flour, 1 pound eggs, 1 pound sugar, 3/4 pound butter, 1 glass brandy. Beat the butter and half of the flour until light and creamy. Add the brandy. Beat the yolks thoroughly and add them alternately with the stiffly beaten whites and the rest of the flour. Beat all together for half an hour. Bake in 2 tins in a moderate oven for about an hour. Rice Cake No. 1. 6 yolks, 3 whites, grated peel of 1 lemon, 4 ounces flour, 1/2 pound ground rice, 1/2 pound powdered sugar. Beat the yolks and whites separately. Add the grated rind to the yolks. Beat again and add the whites. Mix well. Mix the flour, rice, and sugar together. Add the eggs gradually, beating continually for about an hour. Bake in a tin lined with greased paper in a slow oven for about an hour. Rice Cake No. 2. 1 cup butter, 2 cups sugar, 2 1/4 cups rice flour, 6 eggs, juice and grated rind of a lemon. Beat the butter and sugar to a cream. Add the well-beaten yolks and the flour. Beat thoroughly for 5 minutes. Add the lemon juice and rind and the stiffly beaten whites. Bake in shallow square tins in which the depth of the mixture when poured in is less than 2 inches. Bake 35 to 45 minutes in a moderate oven. Rice Cake No. 3. 4 ounces butter, 2 eggs, 4 ounces powdered sugar, 4 ounces ground rice, 6 ounces flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder. Beat the butter to a cream and add the sugar. Beat the eggs till creamy and light and add them with the flour, in which the baking powder should be mixed, and ground rice. Add a little milk and a few drops of essence of lemon or vanilla. Bake in a moderate oven for 3/4 of an hour. Snow Cake. 1 pound arrowroot, 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 1/2 pound butter, whites of 6 eggs, vanilla or lemon flavoring. Beat the butter to a cream. Stir in the sugar and beat well again. Add the arrowroot, beating all the time vigorously. Whisk the whites to a stiff froth. Add them to the mixture. Beat all together for 20 minutes. Add a little vanilla or the juice or rind of a lemon. Bake in a buttered mold in a moderate oven for from 1 hour to 1 hour and a half. White Cake No. 1. 1 cup butter, 3 cups powdered sugar, 1 cup milk, 5 cups sifted flour, 1 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 2 teaspoons cream of tartar, whites of 12 eggs, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar. Beat well. Add the soda to the milk and the cream of tartar to the flour. Add flour and milk to the mixture, beating hard all the time. Beat the eggs to a stiff froth. Add them and the vanilla. Bake in 2 tins lined with greased paper. The oven should be slow at first, then moderate. White Cake No. 2. 3 cups sugar, 1/2 cup butter, 1 cup sweet milk, 2 teaspoons cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 3 cups flour, whites of 4 eggs. Mix as for the first receipt. White Cake No. 3. 3 cups powdered sugar, 1 cup butter, 1 cup milk, 3 cups flour, 1 cup cornstarch, 12 whites of eggs, 2 teaspoons cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon carbonate of soda. Mix the cream of tartar thoroughly with the flour and dissolve the soda in half of the milk. Stir the corn flour in the rest of the milk until perfectly smooth. Beat the butter and yolks together until creamy. Add the cornstarch paste. Stir it well in. Add the milk and soda and the flour. Beat the whites to a stiff froth and stir in lightly. Bake in 2 prepared tins in a moderate oven. End of section 3.
Section 4 of the Cake and Biscuit book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Jeff Novak. The Cake and Biscuit book by Elizabeth Douglas. Layer cakes and fillings. General directions. The tins for these cakes should be about 8 inches in diameter, with a very shallow rim. They should be kept perfectly clean, and before being used should be slightly warmed and well greased with butter, lard, or good sweet oil. 3 layers are sufficient for a cake. They should not be thick. Cool each layer when baked on a perfectly flat surface, and spread with the filling when cold. Layer cake 1. 3 eggs, 1 cup white sugar, butter size of an egg, 1 cup flour, 1 even teaspoon baking powder. Beat the butter and sugar to a cream. Add the well-beaten yolks and then the flour in which the baking powder has already been thoroughly mixed. Beat the whites till stiff. Bake in 3 round shallow buttered tins in a moderate oven. When cold, place 1 round on a large plate and spread it with jelly, jam, or other filling. Cover it with another round and spread this. Ice the top. If jam is used, it should be beaten or warmed a little in order that it may spread more easily. Layer cake 2. 1/2 pound butter, 5 eggs, 6 ounces flour, 2 ounces corn flour, 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 2 tablespoons sherry. Beat butter to a cream. Add sugar gradually, beating all the time. Then add the yolks, the flour, and cornstarch. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Add them and the flavorings to the mixture. Bake in 3 tins for 15 minutes in a moderately quick oven. Layer cake 3. 8 ounces sugar, 5 eggs, 1/4 pound butter, 1 teacup milk, 12 ounces flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder. Beat the sugar with the eggs for 15 minutes. Melt the butter and add it. Beat again very thoroughly. Add the baking powder to the flour and sift it. Add it and the milk to the mixture, beating continually. Layer cake 4. 6 eggs, 2 cups flour, 2 cups sugar, 2 heaped tablespoons butter, 1/3 cup milk, 2 teaspoons cream of tartar, 1 scant teaspoon carbonate of soda. Beat the yolks and whites separately. Add the sugar to the yolks. Beat thoroughly. Add the butter, which should be softened but not melted. Dissolve the soda in a teaspoon of boiling water. Add it to the milk. Sift the cream of tartar with the flour. Add the flour and the milk to the mixture and then the whites. Bake in a moderate oven in shallow round tins. Almond cream filling. 1 pound sweet almonds. 1 small cup cream. 2 tablespoons cornstarch. Powdered sugar to taste. Cook the cornstarch for 10 minutes in as small a quantity of milk as is possible. Blanch the almonds and pound them to a paste. Beat the cream. Mix the almonds, cream, and cornstarch together and beat thoroughly. Add the powdered sugar. Chocolate filling 1. 3 whites of eggs, 1 cup sugar, 1 cup grated chocolate, vanilla. Beat the white of egg slightly. Mix all well together. Chocolate filling 2. 5 tablespoons grated chocolate, half cup cream, 1 cupful sugar, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Beat the egg well. Add it to the chocolate and cream. Stir over the fire till thoroughly mixed. Flavor with vanilla. Coconut filling 1. Half cup cream, half cup grated coconut, half cup powdered sugar. 1. Beat the cream slightly. Add the sugar and coconut. 2. Add a small cup of finely grated coconut to some plain icing. See page 65. Coconut filling 2. Half coconut, whites of 3 eggs, 1 cup powdered sugar. Grate the coconut, add it with the sugar to the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Cream filling 1. 1 pint milk, 2 eggs, 3 tablespoons sifted flour, 1 cup powdered sugar. Cook the flour, mix smooth, in a little milk for 10 minutes. Add it to the milk in which the eggs, or yolks only, have been beaten up. Put all in an enamel saucepan. Add the sugar, stir continually, but take off before it boils. Add flavoring. Cream filling 2. Half cup cream, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, flavoring. Whip the cream. Add the sugar and a very little flavoring. Fig filling. 1 pound figs, 1 teacup water, half teacup sugar. Chop the figs finely. Cook them with the water and sugar until soft and smooth. Fruit filling. 4 tablespoons citron, 4 tablespoons raisins, half cupful chopped almonds, 1/4 pound chopped figs, 3 whites of eggs, half cup sugar. Chop the citron and stoned raisins very fine. Chop the almonds and figs. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Add the sugar. Mix together thoroughly. Add the other ingredients. Orange and coconut cream filling. 1 egg, 1 cup whipped cream, half cup powdered sugar, 1 cup grated coconut, juice of 1 orange, grated rind of half an orange. Mix all well together. Strawberry cream filling. Half pint cream, half cup powdered sugar, 1/4 ounce gelatin, 1 cup mashed strawberries. Whip the cream, set it on ice. Add the sugar to the strawberries. Mash them. Mix them with the cream. Dissolve the gelatin. Add it carefully to the cream and strawberries. Stir over the ice until the cream begins to set. Leave the mixture on the ice until the cake is ready to serve. Spread it thickly between each layer. Californian fig cake. 1 cup sugar, half cup butter, 1 cup flour, half cup corn flour, half cup sweet milk, whites of 3 eggs. Filling. Half pound almonds, 6 ounces figs, half cup seeded raisins, 2 ounces citron, 1 egg, 1 glass of white wine. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar and beat again. Sift the flours together. Add them and the milk. Beat very well and add the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Bake in 2 shallow tins in a quick oven. For the filling, chop all the ingredients very finely together. Mix them with the egg and wine. Spread in a thick layer between the 2 cakes. Coffee cake. 7 ounces flour sifted and dried. Half pound powdered sugar. 7 ounces butter. 1 tablespoon potato flour. 7 eggs. 2 tablespoons brandy. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar and beat well again. Beat up the yolks, add them and the flour in which the potato flour should be mixed to the butter and sugar. Stir in the brandy. Mix all well together. Beat the whites to a stiff froth and stir in lightly. Bake in a mold with a tube in the center. Cream. Whites of 4 eggs, half pound powdered sugar, half wine glass extract of coffee, 1/2 pound butter. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Sift in the sugar, add the coffee extract. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the mixture to it, and mix well with a wooden spoon. Cut the cake across when cold into several sections. Spread the cream between each layer. Put together neatly. Fill the hollow in the center with the cream and spread it all over the cake. Fruit layer cake. 1 cup sugar, 1/2 cup butter, 1½ cups flour, 1/2 cup wine, 1 cup stoned and chopped raisins, 2 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon soda. Cream the butter, add the sugar. Beat well. Add the flour, the well-beaten yolks, and the wine gradually, beating all the time. Dissolve the soda in a very little hot water, add it to the mixture, and the raisins chopped and floured. Stir in the wine and the whites beaten to a stiff froth. Bake in a moderate oven in 3 shallow round tins. Put plain icing between each layer. Jam sandwich 1. 2 eggs, their weight in flour and powdered sugar, a little less than their weight in butter, 1 small teaspoon baking powder. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the eggs well beaten, then the sugar and flour, and lastly the baking powder. It is an improvement if the sugar includes 4 or 5 lumps of sugar which have been well rubbed on a lemon and then crushed. Bake in 2 shallow buttered tins, about 8½ inches, in a moderate oven about 15 minutes. When cold, spread 1 round with jam, place the second round on it, press it lightly down, and sift powdered sugar over it. Jam sandwich 2. 1 egg, its weight in butter, sugar, flour, and ground rice. 1 teaspoon milk, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder. Beat the butter and sugar together. Add the unbeaten egg, then the flour, ground rice, milk, and lastly, the baking powder. Bake in 2 shallow, well-buttered round tins, 8-inch, for 10 to 15 minutes. Proceed as above. Lemon layer cake. 10 eggs, 1 pound sugar, 1/2 pound flour, 2 lemons, 1 orange, 1¼ pound icing sugar. Beat the yolks well together. Add 7 whites beaten until stiff, the sugar, the rind of 2 lemons, and the juice of 1. Bake in separate layers in a moderate oven. Beat the remaining whites, 3, and add to them gradually the icing sugar. Set aside sufficient to ice the outside of the cake. To the rest, add the juice of the orange and half of the rind grated. Wait until the cake is nearly cold and then spread the layers with the mixture. Add a little lemon juice to the icing for the top and sides and spread it on as thickly as possible. Ribbon cake. 1 cup butter, 2 cups sugar, 4 eggs, 3 cups flour, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1 cup milk, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1 teaspoon mixed mace and cinnamon, 1 cup stoned and floured chopped raisins and currants, 1 tablespoon molasses or treacle, 1 dessert spoon brandy. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar, add the well-beaten yolks, and beat all together thoroughly. Add the flour, with which the baking powder has been thoroughly mixed, and the milk. Beat the whites to a stiff froth, stir them lightly into the mixture, add the vanilla. Divide the mixture into 3 parts. To 1 part add the spice, raisins, currants, molasses, and brandy. Mix thoroughly. Bake the 3 parts on separate shallow round or oblong tins for half an hour in a moderate oven. When cold, spread a layer of light cake with plain icing or red currant jelly. Put the layer of dark cake over it. Ice this layer or spread jelly on it and cover with the second layer of light cake. Press lightly together and trim. Swiss roll. 2 eggs, their weight in powdered sugar, 3 ounces flour, 1 small teaspoon baking powder. Break the eggs onto the sugar. Beat until light and creamy. Add the flour gradually, beating continually. Stir in the baking powder. Bake in a large flat tin which should be thoroughly greased. Spread the mixture over it and bake quickly for 7 to 10 minutes. Turn out at once on a board on which sugar has been sifted. Spread with jam and roll. End of Section 4. Read by Jeff Novak, Kimberly, Wisconsin, November 8th, 2022.
Section 5 of the Cake and Biscuit book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Chris Binns. The Cake and Biscuit book by Elizabeth Douglas. Various cakes. Buttercup cake. 3/4 cup butter. 1½ cups sugar. Yolks of 8 eggs. 1 whole egg. ½ cup milk. 2 cups flour. ½ teaspoon carbonate of soda. 1½ teaspoons cream of tartar. Juice and grated rind of half a lemon. Cream the butter. Add the sugar. Beat thoroughly. Beat the eggs till light and frothy. Add to the butter. Dissolve the soda in the milk. Mix the cream of tartar with the flour. Add milk and flour to the mixture, beating well continually. Add the lemon juice and rind. Bake in 2 greased tins in a moderate oven until the cake shrinks from the sides. Chocolate cake 1. 9 ounces butter. 7 ounces chocolate powder. 9 ounces sugar. 5 eggs. 6 ounces flour. Mix the chocolate powder, which should be of the finest quality, with the butter. Beat for 1/4 hour. Add the sugar and beat again. Beat the yolks and whites separately. Add the yolks, then the flour, beating well all the time. Add the stiffly beaten whites. Bake in a tin lined with grease paper in a moderate oven for an hour. Chocolate cake 2. 4 ounces powdered chocolate. 4 ounces caster sugar. 4 ounces butter. 3 eggs. 2½ ounces flour. 1 small teaspoon baking powder. Put the chocolate in the oven to warm. Cream the butter and sugar. Beat the eggs until light and creamy. Add them to the butter and sugar. Then stir in the warm chocolate and mix thoroughly. Sift the flour and baking powder together and add gradually, beating hard all the time. Beat for 10 minutes. Bake in a tin lined with grease paper in a quick oven for an hour. Chocolate cake 3. ½ pound butter. 12 eggs. ½ pound powdered sugar. ½ pound pounded almonds. 4 ounces powdered chocolate. 1 saltspoon crushed cloves and mace. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the yolks gradually, beating continually. Add the pounded almonds, sugar, chocolate and spices. Beat all together for 20 minutes. Add the whites, whisked to a stiff froth. Bake in a German tin lined with grease paper in a very moderate oven for an hour and 1/4. Ice when cold. Gold cake. 1 pound sugar. ½ pound of butter. 1 pound flour. Yolks of 10 eggs. Grated rind of 1 orange. Juice of 2 lemons. 1 teaspoon carbonate of soda. Cream the butter and sugar. Add the yolks. Beat hard for 5 or 6 minutes. Add the flour. Dissolve the soda in a very little hot water. Stir it thoroughly into the mixture. Add the lemon and orange flavouring. This flavouring should be prepared beforehand by putting the grated orange peel to soak for half an hour in the lemon juice, which should then be strained off through fine muslin. Bake in greased tins. Ice with orange icing. Marbled cake. 1 cup butter. 2 cups powdered sugar. 3 cups flour. 4 eggs. 1 cup sweet milk. 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 heaping tablespoon grated chocolate, 1 dessert spoon milk. Cream the butter. Add the sugar. Beat well. Add the well-beaten eggs and the flour in which the baking powder should be mixed. Take out a teacup of the mixture and add the chocolate and the milk to it. Butter a tin and fill it to the depth of 1 inch with the white mixture. Drop 2 or 3 spoonfuls of chocolate mixture onto this in circles and spots. Add another layer of the white mixture and onto it drop more of the brown, and so on until both mixtures are finished. Nut cake. 1½ cup sugar, ½ cup butter, 2 cups flour, 3/4 cup milk, whites of 4 eggs, 1 cup broken nuts, 2 teaspoons baking powder. Cream the butter. Add the sugar. Beat well. Mix the baking powder with the flour. Add it to the mixture with the milk, beating well all the time. Mix in the nuts thoroughly. Lastly, add the whites, which should be beaten as stiff as possible. Bake in shallow square tins. Ice. Shortbread 1. 1 pound flour, ½ pound butter, 3 ounces sugar. Knead all together until smooth. Roll out 1 inch thick. Prick all over with a fork. Bake quickly in shallow buttered tins. Shortbread 2. ½ pound flour, ½ pound sugar, ½ pound butter, 4 eggs, 2 ounces comfits, grated rind of a lemon. Beat the butter to cream. Add the flour, sugar and eggs alternatively in small quantities. When thoroughly mixed, add the grated rind and mix again lightly. Pour into a greased oblong tin. The mixture should be about 1.5 inches deep. Sprinkle the comfits over the surface. Do not allow the cake to colour deeply in baking. Walnut cake. ½ pound butter, ½ pound sugar, 4 eggs, 4 ounces flour, 4 ounces pounded dry walnuts. Cream the butter. Add the sugar. Beat well. Beat the yolks and whites separately. Add the yolks to the cake. Mix the flour and the walnuts, which must be pounded as fine as possible. Add to the mixture. Stir in the whites. Bake in a shallow square tin. Ice. End of section 5.
Section 6 of the Cake and Biscuit book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Dean Legiro. The Cake and Biscuit book by Elizabeth Douglas. Fruit cakes. General directions. In making fruit cakes, always mix the fruit thoroughly with a little of the flour before adding to the cake. Mix the spices with the sugar or flour. For directions for cleaning currants, stoning raisins, and blanching almonds, see pages 3 and 4. Black cake, wedding cake. 10 ounces butter, 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 1/2 pound flour, 6 large eggs, 1 gill brandy and sherry mixed, 1/2 grated nutmeg, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon mace, 1 ground clove, 1/2 pound finely chopped almonds, 1 pound currants, 1 1/2 pounds raisins. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the powdered sugar. Beat again very thoroughly. Stir in 1/4 pound of flour. Beat the eggs together until light. Add them and the rest of the flour to the mixture alternately. Beat well. Add the brandy, sherry, and spices. Add the currants, raisins, and peel, which should all be well floured, gradually, mixing thoroughly. Bake in 2 tins lined with greased paper in a moderate oven for 4 hours. Let the cakes cool in the tins. This cake, if iced first with almond icing, see page 67, and then with plain icing, see page 65, is suitable for a wedding cake. Cider cake. 1 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup butter, 1 egg, 1/2 pint cider, 1 level teaspoon carbonate of soda, 2 cups flour, 1 cup stoned raisins. Beat the butter and sugar to a cream. Add the well-beaten egg and the flour. Dissolve the carbonate of soda in a tablespoon of boiling water. Add it to the cider. Stir it into the mixture. Beat well together. Add the raisins. Bake in a moderate oven in a buttered tin. Currant cake. 1/2 pound sugar, 1/2 pound butter, 6 eggs, 3/4 pound flour, 3/4 pound currants, 1/4 pound sultanas, 1/4 pound mixed peel, 1/4 pound ground almonds, 1 heaping teaspoon baking powder. Beat butter and sugar for 20 minutes. Then add the eggs, one at a time, beating hard all the time. Add the flour and fruit and mix thoroughly. Bake in a well-greased tin in a moderate oven for about 3 hours. Leave in the tin to cool. Fruit cake. 1. 1/2 cup butter. 1 1/2 cups powdered sugar. 3 cups flour. Yolks of 4 eggs. 1/2 cup milk. 1 teaspoon cream of tartar. 1/2 teaspoon carbonate of soda. 1 wine glass brandy. 1 cup raisins. 1 cup currants. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar and beat well. Add the yolks and beat again. Dissolve the soda in the milk and sift the flour and cream of tartar together. Add the milk and flour alternately to the mixture. Stir in the brandy and the fruit and mix well. Bake in 2 greased tins in a moderate oven. Fruit cake. 2. 2 scant cups butter. 3 cups dark brown sugar. 4 cups sifted flour, 6 eggs, 1 pound raisins, 1 pound currants, 1/2 pound citron, finely chopped, 1/2 cup molasses or treacle, 1/2 cup sour milk, 1/2 grated nutmeg, 1 tablespoon ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon ground cloves, 1 teaspoon ground mace, 1 wine glass brandy, 1 level teaspoon soda. Beat butter and sugar to a cream. Add the spices, molasses, and some milk. Stir all well together. Beat the yolks and whites of the eggs separately. Add the yolks and the brandy. Beat thoroughly. Add the flour and stiffly beaten whites alternately. Dissolve the soda in a little water. Add it to the mixture. Mix the fruit together with 2 tablespoons of flour. Stir it thoroughly into the mixture. Line 2 tins with greased paper. Bake in a moderate oven for 2 hours. Let it cool in the pan. Genoa cake. 10 ounces sifted flour. 8 ounces sugar. 8 ounces butter. 6 ounces finely cut peel. 4 ounces chopped almonds. 12 ounces sultanas. 5 eggs. 1 teaspoon baking powder. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar. Drop in 1 egg at a time, beating hard all the time. Add the fruit and almonds and lastly the flour. Mix very well. Bake in an oven which is rather quick at first, then moderate. Imperial cake. 1 pound powdered sugar. 1 pound flour. 3/4 pound butter. 1/2 pound chopped almonds. 1/2 pound chopped citron. 1 pound raisins, 1/2 grated nutmeg, 10 eggs, 1 wine glass brandy. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar. Beat again. Beat the yolks. Add them to the mixture. Add the flour gradually, beating hard continually. Add the fruit, chopped almonds, nutmeg, and brandy, and the whites beaten to a stiff froth. This cake will keep a year. Picathly bannock. 1 pound flour, 1/2 pound butter, 2 ounces blanched almonds, 2 ounces candied orange peel, 2 ounces sugar, 2 ounces caraway seeds or comfits. Melt the butter and mix it with the flour, which should have been dried and sifted. Slice the almonds and cut up the orange peel finely. Add them with the sugar to the flour and butter. Mix very well. Bake in a slow oven for an hour. Seed cake. 1 pound butter, 3/4 pound powdered sugar, 1 pound flour, 6 eggs, 3/4 ounce caraway seeds, 1 wineglass brandy. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar. Beat well together. Beat the whole eggs and brandy together until very light. Add them and the flour alternately to the mixture, beating well, and then the caraway seeds. Bake in a greased tin in a moderate oven. Simnel cake. 1/2 pound butter, 1/2 pound sugar, 2 ounces rice flour, 4 eggs, 7 ounces flour, 1/2 pound currants. For the paste, 2 ounces bitter almonds, 10 ounces sweet almonds, 2½ ounces powdered sugar, whites of 2 eggs, rose water. Beat the butter to a cream and add the sugar. Beat the yolks and whites separately. Add the yolks and the rice flour to the mixture, beating continually, and then the flour and currants. Mix well and stir in the stiffly beaten whites. Prepare the almond paste beforehand. Blanch and pound the almonds, adding a little rose water to them. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Add the sugar, stir lightly together, and then add the almonds. Line 2 small tins with greased paper and put a layer of the cake mixture in each, then a layer of the almond paste, then another layer of cake and almond paste. Bake in a moderate oven. Soda cake. 1 pound flour, 1/2 pound crushed lump sugar, 1/2 pound butter, 1 pound sultanas, 1/4 pound mixed peel, 3 eggs, 1 small teacup milk, 1 small teaspoon carbonate of soda, 1 full teaspoon cream of tartar. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar, which need not be too finely crushed. Beat the eggs well. Add them to the butter and sugar, beating hard. Mix the soda with the milk and the cream of tartar with the flour. Add to the mixture alternately. Add the sultanas and finely cut peel. Mix all very well. Bake for 2 hours or more in a tin lined with greased paper. The oven should be fairly hot at first and then moderate for the rest of the time. Spice cake. 3/4 pound butter, 1 pound sugar, 1 pound flour, 10 eggs, 1 wineglass brandy, 1 wineglass sherry, 1 wineglass molasses or treacle, 1 wineglass milk, 4 pounds raisins, 2 pounds currants, 1 pound citron peel, 1 teaspoon soda, 1 tablespoon cinnamon, 2 teaspoons cloves, 1 grated nutmeg, 1/4 pound chopped almonds. Beat the butter and sugar to a cream. Add the well-beaten eggs, brandy, wine, molasses, and milk, in which the soda should be dissolved. Then the spices and flour. Stir well together, and then add the fruit, which must be well mixed. Bake in 2 large tins for 3 or 4 hours. Sultana cake, 1. 1/2 pound butter, 1/2 pound flour, 1/2 pound sultanas, 3 ounces lemon peel, 3 eggs, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1 level teaspoon baking powder. Soften, but do not melt the butter. Beat well. Sift the baking powder with the flour. Add the sugar to the butter, then the flour. Beat the yolks well and add them. Add the fruit and vanilla. Beat continually. Stir in the beaten whites. Bake in a greased tin in a quick oven for 1½ hours. Sultana cake 2. 4 eggs, their weight in flour, caster sugar, and butter. The rind of a lemon grated. 3 ounces sultanas. 1 ounce finely chopped citron. Beat the butter to a cream. Put the sugar into another pan and break the 4 eggs onto it. Beat the eggs and sugar together with a steel carving fork until thick and creamy. It will take 20 minutes to half an hour. Stir in the flour lightly and quickly, then the butter, and lastly the fruit and grated lemon. Bake in a shallow oblong tin lined with buttered paper. This cake is better if kept a day or two before eating. Sultana cake, 3. 3/4 pound flour, 1/2 pound sultanas, 6 ounces butter, 6 ounces sugar, 3 eggs, 1 level tablespoon baking powder, 1 ounce candied peel, a little milk. Rub the butter lightly into the flour in which the baking powder should be mixed. Then add the sugar, sultanas, and chopped peel. Beat the eggs together until creamy and light, and add them to the flour, etc., mixing in the ingredients with a little milk. Bake in a greased tin in a moderate oven. Sultana or seed cake, 1/2 pound flour, 1/4 pound butter, 1/4 pound castor sugar, 3 eggs, or 4 eggs if small ones, 2 ounces sultanas or caraway seeds, a little finely chopped candied peel. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar, flour, and fruit by degrees, then the eggs, previously well beaten. Beat all well together for 10 minutes. Bake in a round cake tin lined with buttered paper for rather less than an hour. White fruit cake. 1 cup butter, 2 cups sugar, 3 cups flour, 1/2 cup milk, whites of 3 eggs, 3 teaspoons baking powder, 1 wineglass brandy, 1/4 pound chopped citron, 1/2 pound blanched and chopped almonds, 1/4 pound grated coconut. Beat the butter to a cream, add the sugar. Beat well together. Sift the flour and baking powder together. Add the butter and sugar, moistening the mixture with the milk and brandy. Add the coconut, almonds, and citron. Mix well and stir in the stiffly beaten whites. Bake in a tin lined with greased paper in a moderate oven. End of section 6.
Section 7 of the Cake and Biscuit book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Laura. The Cake and Biscuit book by Elizabeth Douglas. Icings. General remarks. In all icing that is not boiled, it is necessary to use icing sugar, which is very fine and flour-like in appearance. Plain icing. Whites of 2 eggs, 1/2 pound icing sugar, flavoring, lemon, vanilla, or almond, etc. Break the whites into a good-sized dish. Add 2 heaping tablespoons of sugar and stir it in steadily. Beat for a few minutes. Add the sugar gradually, beating well. The making should take about half an hour. When thick enough, it should not run together again after being cut with a knife. If flavored with lemon juice, a little more sugar should be added or the icing will not be stiff enough. Pour the icing onto the cake by large spoonfuls and allow it to settle itself as much as possible. When using a knife, dip it first in cold water. Ice a cake 2 or 3 hours before it is to be eaten. It can be set to harden in a moderate oven for 5 minutes if needed quickly, but it is best to dry it slowly in a warm, sunny place. Boiled icing. 1 cup powdered sugar, 1 cup water, whites of 2 eggs, flavoring. Boil the sugar and water together until it spins a thread from a spoon. Then take the syrup off the fire and pour it into a basin. Add the whites, beaten to a stiff froth, to it gradually, beating hard all the time. Continue beating until the mixture is cold. Add flavoring. Gelatin icing. 1 teaspoon gelatin, 1 tablespoon cold water, 2 tablespoons hot water, 1 cup icing sugar. Soak the gelatin in the cold water for half an hour. Add it to the hot water and dissolve it in the same. Add it to the sugar and beat till smooth and firm. Icing without eggs. 1 cup powdered sugar, 5 tablespoons milk. Add the milk to the sugar in a saucepan. Stir it till it boils, then set it where it can boil gently for 5 minutes. Do not stir. Take off the fire. Put into a basin. Flavor. Beat constantly until cold. Almond icing. 2 whites of eggs, 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 1/2 pound sweet almonds, 5 bitter almonds, rose water. Blanch the almonds and let them dry. Pound them in a mortar and moisten them with a little rose water. When perfectly smooth and fine, add them to an icing made as above. See page 65 of the sugar and white of egg. Spread thickly upon the cake. Place it near a sunny window. Allow it to dry partly and cover with a coating of plain sugar icing. Chocolate icing. 1. 1 cup sugar, 1 cup water, 3 ounces chocolate, 1 teaspoon vanilla. Boil the sugar and water together until it forms a syrup which will spin a thread. Add the chocolate and vanilla. Take off the fire and beat well together. Chocolate icing. 2. Melt 2 ounces of chocolate. Add it to the plain icing. See page 65. Flavor with a few drops of vanilla. Coconut icing. To the plain icing, see page 65, made with rather less sugar than is given, add 1/2 cup of grated or desiccated coconut. Orange icing. Grate the thin outer rind of an orange. Put it in a cup. Cover it with 4 teaspoons orange juice. Let it soak for 1/2 an hour. Squeeze the juice through a fine cloth. Add to the plain icing. See page 65. Tutti Frutti icing. 1 ounce blanched and chopped almonds. 1/2 cup stoned and chopped raisins and sliced citron. 2 whites of eggs. 1/2 pound icing sugar. Mix the whites and the sugar as for plain icing. See page 65. Beat for about 20 minutes. Work in the almonds and fruit gradually. Yellow icing. 2 yolks, 1/2 pound icing sugar. Flavoring. Beat the yolks until frothy and light. Add the sugar very gradually, beating hard in one direction for about 1/2 an hour. Flavor. End of section 7.
Section 8 of the Cake and Biscuit book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Cake and Biscuit book by Elizabeth Douglas. Gingerbread. American soft gingerbread. 1. 12 ounces flour, 1 cup black treacle or West India molasses, 1 cup brown sugar, 1 cup sour milk, 1/2 cup melted butter, 1/2 cup melted lard, 2 eggs, 1½ teaspoons ground ginger, 1½ teaspoons ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon ground cloves, 1 good teaspoon carbonate of soda, saltspoon salt. Beat the eggs well in a large basin. Add the sour milk, treacle, and sugar. Mix well with a wooden spoon. Add the spices and soda and beat well. Then add the melted butter and lard and last of all the flour. Beat quickly and bake at once in 2 small dripping pans about 8 inches by 10 inches in a very moderate oven for 40 minutes. American soft gingerbread. 2. 1 cup butter, 1/2 cup brown sugar, 2 cups molasses, 1 cup sour or sweet milk, 1 tablespoon ginger,
1 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 3 eggs, 4 cups sifted flour, teaspoon soda, 1 tablespoon hot water. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar. Beat again. Add the molasses, milk, and spices. Beat all very well together. Add the eggs, yolks and whites beaten separately. Add half of the flour. Beat. Add the soda, which must be thoroughly dissolved in the hot water. Add the rest of the flour. Beat till thoroughly mixed. Bake in 2 square tins lined with greased paper in a moderate oven for 40 minutes to an hour. Hard gingerbread. Follow the above receipt, omitting the eggs. Roll out and cut into squares 1/2 inch thick. While hot, rub over the top with molasses. Gingerbread loaf. 1 cup butter and lard. 1 cup brown sugar. 1 cup treacle. 1 cup milk. 1 cup stoned and chopped raisins. 2 eggs. 10 ounces flour. 1 teaspoon soda. 2 teaspoons ginger. 2 teaspoons cinnamon. 1 ground clove. Melt the sugar and lard. Then mix all the ingredients well together, adding the flour last. The soda should be dissolved in the milk. The raisins may be omitted. Bake in tins lined with greased paper in a slow oven for about 40 minutes. Portuguese gingerbread. 2 pounds flour, 2 pounds black treacle, 1 pound brown sugar, 1 pound butter, 1/4 pound citron, 5 eggs, 1 tablespoon ground cloves, 1 tablespoon ground ginger, 2 teaspoons carbonate of soda, rind of 3 lemons grated, wine glass of brandy. Beat the eggs with the sugar till light and creamy. Add the butter, which should be melted, the spices, lemon peel, and finely sliced citron. Stir continually. Then add the brandy and treacle, mixing well. Mix the soda with the flour. Stir the flour into the mixture and do not beat after it is well mixed. Paper and grease 3 or 4 dripping pans or shallow square tins. Bake immediately in a very moderate oven for an hour and a half. This cake burns easily. Scotch gingerbread. 2 1/4 cups flour, 3/4 cup medium oatmeal, 1 cup syrup, 3/4 cup lard, butter or dripping, 3 teaspoons ground ginger, 3 teaspoons ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 1 or 2 eggs, 1 cup sour milk. Mix as for American gingerbread and bake in a greased flat tin in a moderate oven. Yorkshire Perkins. 1/2 pound oatmeal, 1/4 pound flour, 1/4 pound butter, 1 ounce mixed spice, 6 ounces brown sugar, 1/4 ounce carbonate of soda, 1/4 pound treacle. Mix the oatmeal and flour together, rub in the butter, add the spice, sugar, and carbonate of soda. Warm the treacle and pour it on the rest of the ingredients, mixing well. If the mixture is too dry, add a little melted butter. It should be rather soft. Divide into small, flat cakes and bake on greased tins in a slow oven. Brush over with milk when baked. End of section 8.
Section 9 of the Cake and Biscuit book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org.
The Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Cakes made with yeast. Bread cake. 1. 1 pint dough, 3 ounces butter, 1 cup sugar, 2 eggs, grated rind half a lemon, 1 cup of currants. 2. 4 tablespoons brown sugar, 2 ounces butter, 1 tablespoon flour, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 2 heaping tablespoons breadcrumbs. 1. Add the butter, sugar, eggs, and lemon rind to the dough. Mix thoroughly and beat till light. Add the currants, which should have been washed, dried, and floured. Mix them in lightly. Pour the mixture into a square greased pan. It should not be more than an inch deep. 2. Beat the brown sugar, butter, flour, and cinnamon together till light. Stir in the breadcrumbs, which should be very fine. Drop spoonfuls of this mixture over the top of the cake. Press them down into the cake with the fingers. Set the cake to rise in a warm place. When risen, bake in a moderately quick oven. Cover the cake with a piece of brown paper to prevent burning. Brioche. 1 pound flour, 1 pound butter, 7 eggs, 2 spoonfuls yeast, 1 spoonful sugar, salt. Set 1/4 pound of flour with the yeast dissolved in a very little hot water to rise for half an hour in a covered basin in a warm place. Rub the butter into the rest of the flour, with which the sugar and a little salt has been mixed. Beat the eggs well. Mix them with the butter and flour and beat until light and creamy. Add this mixture to the flour and yeast and mix lightly but well. Let the whole rise for 8 hours. Fill a buttered mold or form into small loaves and place on a greased tin. Bake in a moderate oven for about an hour. Dough cake. 1 pound dough, 3 ounces lard, 3 ounces butter, 3 ounces sugar, 1/4 pound currants, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon ginger, and ground nutmeg. The dough should have risen a second time before it is used. Mix all the ingredients in a large pan with the hand. Bake in a square buttered tin. Gugelhof, or German coffee cake. 6 ounces butter, 9 ounces flour, 1½ ounces corn flour, 1½ ounces powdered sugar, 1 ounce German yeast, 9 eggs, 2 ounces sultanas. Beat the butter to a cream and slowly add to it, beating continually the dried and sifted flour and corn flour. When thoroughly mixed, add the sugar, the yeast dissolved in a very little warm water, and the well-beaten yolks. Mix well and add the floured sultanas and 7 whites, whisked to a stiff froth. Butter a large tin with a tube in the center. Put the mixture in it and set it in a warm place to rise for 2 hours. Bake in a moderate oven from 1¼ to 1½ hours. Take out of the tin at once and stand upon a hair sieve to cool. Sift over with powdered sugar. Gugelhof 2. 1¼ pounds flour, 3 eggs, 1 3/4 cups lukewarm milk or cream, 6 ounces butter, 4 tablespoons German yeast, 2 heaping tablespoons powdered sugar, 4 ounces sultanas or currants, 1 saltspoon salt. Dry and sift the flour. Melt the butter in the milk and when just lukewarm, add to the flour. Add salt, sugar, and yeast dissolved in a little of the milk and beat for a full ½ hour. Cover the basin with a cloth and set in a warm place to rise for 1½ hours. Then, beating it well, add the sultanas to the dough. Butter a large mold with a hollow center. Sprinkle sliced almonds in it and pour in the mixture. Let it rise again for about 1½ hours. Bake for an hour and turn out onto a hair sieve to cool. Sift over with powdered sugar. Seed dough cake. 1 quartern dough, 6 eggs, 8 ounces sugar, 8 ounces butter, ½ ounce caraway seeds. Work all the ingredients well into the dough with the hands. When all are thoroughly mixed, put into a greased pan and set to rise in a warm place. Bake in a moderate oven. Scotch bun. 2 pounds raisins, 1 pound currants, ½ pound orange peel, 1/4 pound lemon peel, 1/4 pound chopped sweet almonds, 1/2 ounce ground cloves, cinnamon, and ginger, 1/2 pound butter, 2½ pounds twice risen dough. Divide the dough into 2 parts. With 1 part, mix the fruit, butter, and spices thoroughly. Line a butter tin with half of the plain dough. Put over it the dough mixed with fruit, and cover with the rest of the plain dough. Brush over with the yolk of an egg. Bake in a moderate oven. End of Section 9. Read by Tracy Fay, Meridian, Idaho, October 29, 2022.
Section 10 of the Cake and Biscuit Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Dean Legiro. The Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Fried cakes. General directions. Fried cakes are best cooked in a mixture of lard and clarified beef dripping which has not been used before. It should be made very hot and be quite still. Test it by throwing in a small piece of the mixture. If it rises at once, swells, and begins to brown on the underside, the temperature is right for frying. Donuts should take from 8 to 10 minutes to fry and should be a golden brown when finished. Directly they are ready, take them out, allowing all the fat to drip off, and putting them on soft brown paper to drain. Cinnamon cakes. 1 cup sugar, 1 cup butter, 3 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, 2 tablespoons milk, flour. Beat the butter and sugar together until light. Beat the eggs together and add the butter and sugar with the cinnamon, milk, and sufficient flour to make the mixture stiff enough to roll out. Roll the mixture out on a floured pastry board until very thin. Cut into narrow strips. Twist or braid them. Drop them into boiling fat. Boil till a golden brown. Dust with powdered sugar while hot. Crullers. 1/2 pound butter, 3/4 pound powdered sugar, 6 eggs, nutmeg, flour. Beat the butter to a cream with the sugar. Flavor with nutmeg. Add the well-beaten eggs and sufficient flour to make the mixture stiff enough to roll out. Cut in their proper shapes and fry in a large pan of boiling lard until a rich yellow. Keep for a day before eating. Donuts. 1 cup sugar, 2 1/2 tablespoons butter, 3 eggs, 1 cup milk, 4 teaspoons baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon grated nutmeg and cinnamon, salt, 3 1/2 cups flour. Cream the butter. Add half of the sugar. Beat the eggs until very light. Add them with the rest of the sugar to the butter. Add the salt, spices, and baking powder to the flour. Sift them and add to the mixture. Beat well. Add more flour if necessary and roll out until 1/4 inch thick. Cut into rings and fry. Donuts made with yeast. 1/2 pound butter, 3/4 pound sugar, 1 pint sweet milk, 2 eggs, 1/2 cup yeast, 1 dessert spoon spices, mace or nutmeg and cinnamon, flour, salt. Cream the butter. Add the sugar. Beat well. Add the milk, yeast, and about 1.5 pints of the sifted flour. Set to rise overnight. Add the well-beaten eggs, spices, and sufficient flour to make a stiff dough in the morning. Roll out. Cut into rounds and fry. Sift sugar over them while hot. Puffball donuts. 3 eggs, 1 cup powdered sugar, 1 pint sweet milk, flour, 2 heaping teaspoons baking powder. Beat the eggs. Add the sugar and milk. Add flour, with which the baking powder should be mixed, until the batter is stiff enough for the spoon to stand upright in. Beat until very light. Drop by dessert spoonfuls into boiling lard. Snowballs. 1 cup powdered sugar, 4 tablespoons milk, 1/3 teaspoon soda, 3/4 teaspoon cream of tartar, 2 eggs, Flour. Mix the soda with the milk and the cream of tartar with the flour, sufficient to make a stiff batter. Beat the egg, add the rest of the ingredients, and beat until light. Make into small balls. Fry in lard. When cold, dip in the beaten white of an egg and roll in powdered sugar. End of section 10.
Section 11 of the Cake and Biscuit Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Little Cakes and Sweet Biscuits, Part 1. Almond Cakes. 1/2 pound sweet almonds, 1 white of egg, 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 1/2 pound butter, 3/4 pound flour, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon. Blanch and pound the almonds, adding the beaten whites and mixing well together. Add them to the rest of the ingredients and knead well together with the hands. Roll out and cut into round cakes. Brush over with the beaten yolk of an egg and dust with powdered sugar. Bake on a well-greased tin in a slow oven until they are a rich yellow. Bottle cakes. 1/2 pound butter, 1/2 pound sifted sugar, 1/2 pound flour, juice and grated rind of half a lemon, 2 eggs. Cream the butter, add the sugar, beat the eggs and add with the rest of the ingredients, beating all thoroughly. Grease a baking tin and drop the mixture on it by teaspoonfuls. Bake about 5 minutes in a moderate oven. Slip the cakes off the tin with a knife. Lay a number of bottles on their sides on a table. Lay the cakes on them to cool and press gently down on the bottles in order to give them a rounded shape. These cakes should be very thin and richly colored round the edges. Butter rings. 3 ounces butter, 2 eggs, 4 yolks, 1/2 pound sugar, 1/2 pound flour, grated rind of a lemon. Beat the butter to a cream. Add 1 egg and 5 yolks, which should have been well beaten together, and the sugar. Then add the flour and the lemon rind. Beat until smooth and light. Roll out the mixture lightly and cut it into ring-shaped biscuits. Brush over each with the white of an egg and sprinkle crystallized sugar over them. Bake in a slow oven on a well-greased tin. Caraway cakes. 3 pounds sugar, 1 pound butter, 1/2 pint cold water, 3 eggs, 3 pounds flour, 1 teaspoon soda, 4 tablespoons caraway seeds. Cut the butter up in the flour as finely as possible. Dissolve the sugar in the water. Add it to the butter and flour. Beat the eggs until very light and add them to the mixture. Dissolve the soda in a very little hot water and stir it in. Roll the caraway seeds in a little flour and add them, mixing thoroughly. Roll out lightly and cut in round shapes. Bake quickly on a greased tin. Chocolate Cakes 1. 6 ounces sifted sugar, 1/4 pound sifted chocolate powder, 2 ounces sifted flour, 4 whites of eggs. Beat the whites until very stiff. Mix quickly but thoroughly with the other ingredients. Form into cone-like shapes on a baking sheet or tin and bake in a moderate oven. Chocolate cakes 2. 2 ounces powdered chocolate, 2 ounces castor sugar, 2 ounces butter, 2 eggs, 1 1/2 ounces flour, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder. Put the chocolate in the oven to warm. Beat the butter to a cream and add the sugar gradually, beating continually. Then stir in the well-beaten eggs and the warmed chocolate. When thoroughly well beaten, add the flour, with which the baking powder should be mixed. Bake in patty pans in a quick oven. When baked, split open and spread with Devonshire cream. Cinnamon biscuits. 1/4 pound sugar, 3 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 ounce potato flour, 1 ounce Vienna flour. Mix the sugar and the yolks of the eggs with the cinnamon and beat hard for 10 minutes. Add the whites, which should have been beaten until they are stiff, and the potato flour and Vienna flour. Divide into small tins. Sprinkle with a little white sugar. Bake in a moderate oven until light brown. Coburg cake. 3 cups flour, 1 cup sugar, 1/2 cup syrup, 1/2 cup water, 1 cup buttermilk or sour milk, 1/2 pound butter, 3 eggs, 2 teaspoons soda, 2 teaspoons ground ginger, 2 teaspoons ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon allspice, 2 ounces sweet almonds. Beat the butter and sugar to a cream. Whisk the eggs till light and creamy and mix with the butter. Add the syrup, water, spices, and flour, mixing thoroughly, and lastly, the soda dissolved in a little boiling water. Blanch and chop the almonds and sprinkle them in the bottom of the patty pans. Pour in the mixture and bake in a quick oven for about 20 minutes. Coconut cones. 1 pound powdered sugar, 1/2 a grated coconut, 5 whites of eggs, 1 teaspoon arrowroot or flour. Beat the eggs until firm. Add the sugar gradually. Beat in the coconut and arrowroot. Form into small cone-shaped cakes. Set on buttered paper in a tin and bake in a very moderate oven. Coconut rings. 1/2 cup grated coconut, 1/2 cup butter, 3/4 cups powdered sugar, 2 eggs, 1 tablespoon milk, 2 1/2 cups sifted flour. Cream the butter, add the sugar to it and beat well. Beat the yolks and whites of the eggs separately. Stir them in. Add the milk and flour, then gradually add the coconut, beating constantly. Roll out thin on a board and cut with 2 different sized cutters into rings. Bake in a quick oven 5 to 10 minutes. Corn flour cakes 1. 1/4 pound corn flour, 1/4 pound sifted white sugar, 3 ounces butter, 1/4 teaspoon baking powder, 1 egg, grated rind of half a lemon. Beat the butter to a cream, add the corn flour with which the baking powder has been mixed, sugar, well-beaten egg, and lemon peel. Mix all well together. Bake 5 minutes in a quick oven. Corn flour cakes 2. 3 ounces castor sugar, finely sifted. 3 ounces butter. 2 ounces Oswego corn flour, Kingsford's. 2 eggs. 1 small teaspoon baking powder. Beat the butter and sugar together to a cream. Beat in the corn flour. Add the eggs, not previously beaten, and beat all well together. Then stir in the baking powder carefully. Bake in well-buttered patty pans in a moderate oven until they are a delicate golden color. Fairy gingerbread. 1 cup butter, 2 cups sugar, 1 cup sweet milk, 4 cups flour, 3/4 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 2 teaspoons ground ginger. Beat the butter to a cream, add the sugar gradually. When the mixture is very light and creamy, add the ginger. Dissolve the soda in the milk and add it with the flour. Grease a perfectly clean baking tin. Spread the mixture as thinly as possible over it with a knife. Bake in a moderate oven till brown. Cut into squares while hot and slip off the tin. Fluffy cakes. 1/2 pound corn flour, 1/4 pound castor sugar, 6 ounces butter, 2 eggs, 1 tablespoon milk, 1 teaspoon essence of vanilla, 1 teaspoon baking powder. Beat the butter and sugar to a cream. Beat the eggs thoroughly and mix them with the butter and sugar. Sift in the corn flour mixed with the baking powder gradually and mix well. Stir in about a tablespoon of milk mixed with a small teaspoon of essence of vanilla. Grease the patty pans with lard and sprinkle a little ground rice in each. Half fill them and bake in a quick oven for 10 minutes. German biscuits. 5 ounces flour, 2 ounces butter, 2 ounces sugar, 2 yolks of eggs, 1 white of egg, 2 tablespoons cream or milk, 1 ounce almonds. Beat the sugar and butter together. Add the flour and the beaten yolks. When well mixed, add the cream or milk. Cut the paste thus made into strips and form it into different shapes. Brush over with the white of egg. Blanch and chop the almonds and strew them over the biscuits. Bake on a greased tin. Gingerbread nuts. 1/2 pound butter, 1 1/2 pounds flour, 1/2 pound powdered sugar, 1/2 ounce ginger, 1/2 nutmeg grated, 10 ounces treacle. Sift the flour, rub the butter finely into it. Sift the sugar and add it to the butter and flour. Add the rest of the ingredients, and caraway seeds if liked. Mix well together. Shape into little cakes. Bake on oiled paper in a slow oven. Ginger snaps. 1 large cup butter and lard mixed. 1/2 cup sugar. 1 cup molasses. 1/2 cup water. 1 tablespoon ginger. 1 tablespoon cinnamon. 1 teaspoon cloves. 1 teaspoon soda. Flour. Mix all together, dissolving the soda in a very little hot water. Add sufficient flour to make a fairly stiff dough. Roll out thin and bake in a quick oven. Ground rice biscuits. 1/2 pound ground rice, 1/2 pound flour, 1/2 pound castor sugar, 1/2 pound butter, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoonful of baking powder. Mix the baking powder with the flour and ground rice, and then rub the butter into it. Add the well-beaten eggs. Roll out on a board and cut into rounds about the size of a 5-shilling piece. Bake on a floured tin. End of section 11, read by Bookbard. Section 12 of The Cake and Biscuit Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Little Cakes and Sweet Biscuits, Part 2. Hazelnut Biscuits. 4 ounces hazelnuts. 1 ounce sweet almonds. Whites of 2 eggs. 6 ounces powdered sugar. Flour. Blanch the nuts and pound them, but not very finely. Beat the whites to a stiff froth. Mix them with the nuts. Add the sugar. Mix in sufficient flour to make a paste. Roll it out on a board as thin as possible. Cut into small rounds. Bake on buttered tins in a slow oven. Kletskoppen. 7 ounces flour, 12 ounces brown sugar, 4 ounces almonds, 2 ounces butter. Mix sugar and butter together. Add the flour and the almonds blanched and chopped. Divide into small cakes. Bake in a quick oven. Little Biscuits. 1/2 pound flour, 2 eggs, 1/4 pound butter, 1/4 pound powdered sugar, a small teaspoon baking powder, a small wineglass of sherry. Put the flour, sugar, and baking powder into a basin and stir well together. Rub in the butter and add the well-beaten eggs. Mix with the wine into a paste just firm enough to roll out on a pasteboard. Cut out in little rounds with a small wineglass. Bake on a floured tin until a delicate color, like nicely baked pastry. Little Dutch Cakes. 4 ounces butter, 4 ounces white sugar, 4 ounces flour, vanilla, 2 yolks, 1 white of egg, 1 ounce almonds blanched and chopped. Mix the butter and sugar thoroughly together. Add the flour. Flavor with a few drops of vanilla. Beat the yolks and add them to the mixture. Roll out the paste. Shape it into rings. Dip each in the white of egg and sprinkle over them the chopped almonds. Louisa Cakes. 3-ounce corn flour, 3-ounce flour, 4 ounces butter, 3 eggs, 4 ounces powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon baking powder. Beat the butter to a cream and add the sugar. Then add 1 egg at a time, beating thoroughly. Stir in the flour, in which the baking powder has been mixed, and beat well. Bake in a greased patty pan in a quick oven from 15 to 20 minutes. Ice when nearly cold with plain icing, and ornament with crystallized cherries. Macaroons. 1 pound sweet almonds, 10 bitter almonds, whites of 8 eggs, 1 teaspoon arrowroot. Blanch and pound the almonds, adding to them a little rose water. Put in a basin, cover, and set aside for 24 hours. Then beat the whites to a very stiff froth. Stir in the sugar lightly and add the almonds and arrowroot gradually. Drop spoonfuls of the mixture on buttered paper, sprinkle with powdered sugar, and bake on a tin sheet in a quick oven until a delicate brown. 1 or 2 sliced almonds can be stuck into each biscuit. Macaroons. 1 pound sweet almonds, whites of 4 eggs, 1 pound powdered sugar, rose water. Blanch and pound the almonds. Add them to a little rose water. Mix thoroughly with the sugar over a fire. Whisk the whites to a stiff froth. Add to the almonds. Grease a paper and spread it on a baking sheet. Put the mixture on by spoonfuls. Bake in a rather slow oven for 20 minutes. Madeleines. 1/2 pound butter, 14 ounces flour, 1 pound powdered sugar, 6 eggs, 1 dessert spoon orange flower water. Melt the butter and pour it into a basin. Add to it gradually, beating all the time, the flour and sugar. Beat the yolks and whites separately. Add the yolks first, then the flavoring, and lastly the whites. Butter a number of little tin shapes. Fill them and bake in a moderate oven. Oat cakes. 1 pound oatmeal, a pinch of soda, hot water. Mix oatmeal and soda, adding hot water to make a soft dough. Knead till smooth. Press into a round cake 1/2 inch thick. Then roll out as thin as required with a roller. Divide into cakes with a cutter. Place them on a hot griddle and bake till firm. Take them off, rub them with meal, and toast before the fire till they curl. Orange biscuit. Several Seville oranges. Their weight in powdered sugar. Boil the oranges whole 3 times, changing the water each time. Cut them in halves and take out all the pulp and juice. Beat the outside very fine in a mortar and add to it the sugar. Mix into a paste. Spread very thinly on glass or plates and set in the sun to dry. When nearly dry, cut into shapes and turn over. When quite dry, put away in an airtight tin. Orange wafers. 1/2 pound sugar, 1/4 pound flour, 4 eggs, 1/2 orange, 1 lemon. Grate the yellow rind from half an orange. Put it in a cup and squeeze the juice of a whole lemon over it. After half an hour, strain off the juice. Beat the sugar and yolks until light and creamy. Add the strained juice and the whites whipped to a stiff froth. Sift in the flour and do not beat any more. Drop by spoonfuls onto greased paper and bake quickly. Spread half of the wafers, when baked, with marmalade and put the others on top of them, pressing them lightly down. Rice cakes. 2 eggs, their weight in flour, powdered sugar, and butter, 1 large tablespoon rice flour, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder. Cream the butter and add the sugar. Mix the baking powder, flour, and rice flour together and add to the butter and sugar. Whisk the eggs till light and frothy. Beat all well together. Bake in buttered patty pans. Rock Cakes 1. 1/2 pound flour, 2 ounces butter, 3 ounces moist sugar, 2 ounces currants, 2 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder. Rub the butter into the flour. Add the sugar and currants. Beat the eggs well and add to the mixture. Mix well together and drop in irregular shapes on a buttered tin. Bake in a moderate oven. Rock Cakes 2. 1/2 pound self-raising flour, 1 egg, 1/4 pound demerara sugar, 1/2 teacup milk, 1/4 pound butter and lard mixed, 2 ounces currants, candied peel, 1 tablespoon desiccated coconut. Mix flour, sugar, butter, currants, and coconut well, then add the egg and milk. If the butter is soft, it will not require all the milk, for they are better mixed as dry as possible. Put the mixture in rough pieces on a tin and bake in a rather quick oven for 15 or 20 minutes. Shortbread. 1 pound flour, 1/2 pound fresh butter, 1/4 pound powdered sugar. Soften the butter a little and cut it into the flour. Knead in the sugar. Roll out. Cut into shapes. Bake in a tin on buttered paper until a delicate brown. Shortbread biscuits. 1 pound flour, 4 ounces butter, 1 egg, a little cream. Rub the butter into sifted and dried flour. Add the sugar and the egg slightly beaten. Moisten with a very little cream or milk. Roll out thin, cut into rounds. Bake on tins in a quick oven. Snow cakes. 2 cups sugar, 1/2 cup butter, 1 cup sweet milk, 3 cups flour, 3 teaspoons baking powder, whites of 5 eggs. Cream the butter, add the sugar and beat well. Then add the flour, in which the baking powder should be mixed, and the milk. Beat for 10 minutes. Whisk the whites to a stiff froth and stir in lightly. Bake in square tins. When quite cold, cut off all the brown outside and divide into pieces about 2 inches square. Take each piece on a fork and ice and roll in finely grated coconut. Sponge fingers or cakes. 10 eggs, 1 pound powdered sugar, 3/4 pound flour. Beat the eggs together until very light. Add the sugar and beat for 15 minutes. Sift the flour in lightly. Bake in tins made for this purpose in a quick oven. Sugar cakes. 6 eggs, 1 cup butter, 3 cups sugar, flour. Beat the yolks and whites separately, very thoroughly. Cream the butter and sugar. Add the yolks. Beat well. Stir in the whites and enough flour to make a paste that can be lightly rolled out. Flavor with a few drops of lemon juice. Cut into rounds and bake in a quick oven. Wholemeal biscuits. 1 cup rich cream, sour or sweet. 1/4 cup powdered sugar. 1 saltspoon salt. 2 cups fine wholemeal. Mix together and knead with the hand until stiff enough to roll out as thin as a wafer. Cut into rounds and bake on floured tins in a very hot oven. End of section 12, read by Bookbard.
Section 13 of the Cake and Biscuit Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Betty B. The Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Breakfast and Tea Cakes. American Crumpets. 3 cups warm milk, 1/2 cup yeast, 2 tablespoons melted butter, 1 saltspoon salt, 1 saltspoon soda, flour. Mix the yeast, milk, salt, and sufficient flour to make a good batter together and set to rise. When well risen, beat in the melted butter. Sift the soda and stir it in dry. Put in well-greased patty pans or muffin rings, allowing the batter to rise for 15 minutes before putting into the oven. Bake in a quick oven. American Muffins with Eggs. 1 quart milk, 3/4 cup yeast, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon butter, 1 teaspoon salt, 4 eggs, flour. Mix all the ingredients except the eggs with sufficient flour to make a good batter overnight. Cover and set to rise. In the morning beat the eggs till very light. Stir them in. Bake for 20 minutes in a quick oven in well-greased muffin rings. American Muffins without Yeast. 1/2 pint milk, 1/2 pint cream, 1 heaping pint of flour, 3 eggs, 1 tablespoon of melted lard and butter mixed. Beat the yolks and whites separately, stir them together. Add the milk, salt, butter, and flour. Bake at once in well-greased muffin tins in a quick oven. The tin should only be filled half full of the mixture. Serve hot. Balloon Cakes. 2 tablespoons yeast, 4 tablespoons cream, 6 tablespoons flour. Mix the yeast with the cream, sift the flour, work the yeast and cream into it. Set in a warm place to rise. When risen, roll out very thin. Cut into round cakes, bake for 4 minutes. Breakfast Scones. 1 quart milk, 3/4 cup lard and butter, 3/4 cup yeast, 2 tablespoons white sugar, 1 teaspoon salt, flour. Warm the milk, melt the lard and butter, add it to the milk, stir in sufficient flour, sugar, salt, and yeast to make a soft dough. Mix overnight. Cover and leave to rise. Roll out lightly in the morning until about 3/4 of an inch thick. Cut into round scones. Let them rise 20 minutes. Bake for 20 minutes. Or, mix the ingredients in the morning with half the quantity of flour. Set to rise for 5 hours. Work in the rest of the flour and let it rise another 5 hours. Cut into round cakes. Let them rise 20 minutes. Kringles. 1/4 pound butter, 1 pound flour, 2 ounces sugar, 2 tablespoons yeast, 1/2 pint milk, 2 eggs. Rub the butter into the flour. Add the sugar. Take half of this mixture. Add to it 1/4 pint of milk and the yeast. Cover over and set to rise in a warm place. When risen, add the rest of the flour, etc., to it. Add also 1/4 of a pint more milk and the 2 eggs. Mix into a light dough. Roll out to the thickness of a finger. Cut into fancy shapes. Set them on a baking tin in a warm place to rise. Bake when risen. When baked, wash over with milk and sugar. Crumpets. 3/4 pound of fine flour, 3/4 ounce German yeast, 1 teaspoonful powdered sugar, a pinch of salt, 1 pint bare measure of milk, 1 egg. Mix the salt and sugar with the flour. Dissolve the yeast in a little of the milk and stir it into the flour. Break the egg into it and beat together with a wooden spoon. Then add the remainder of the milk by degrees, making it into a nice batter. Set it before the fire covered with a cloth to rise for 2 hours and bake in tin rings on a slab of stone or marble, heated on the top of an ordinary kitchen range or close stove. This will take about 2 hours to heat. The stone must not be less than 1½ inches thick, or it is liable to crack with the heat. A discarded marble mantelpiece is excellent for this purpose. The crumpet rings should be slightly buttered. Place them on the stone when your batter is ready, and pour into each a small teacupful of the batter. As soon as the crumpet has risen, remove the ring and turn the crumpet over on the stone. They cook very quickly. Dropped scones. 4 cups flour, 2 cups milk, 1 egg, 1/2 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 1/4 teaspoon tartaric acid, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar. Beat the egg. Mix all together into a smooth batter. Fry in butter in a small frying pan, a spoonful at a time. Échaudé à thé. 1/2 pound sifted flour, 3 eggs, 2 ounces butter, 2 lumps of sugar. Rub the sugar on a lemon, and when dry, crush it finely. Work all the ingredients together thoroughly with the hand. Set aside for an hour. Then roll out the paste on a floured board. Form into little balls the size of a walnut, rolling them with a hand which should be well floured. Throw them into boiling water. When they come to the surface, take them out and throw them quickly into cold water. Leave them in the water for 2 hours. Drain them and put them on a baking tin in a hot oven. Bake for 1/4 of an hour. Golden corn cake. 3/4 cup cornmeal, 1 1/4 cups flour, 1/4 cup powdered sugar, 1 cup milk, 1 egg, 1 tablespoon butter, 4 teaspoons baking powder. Mix the meal, flour, sugar, and baking powder thoroughly together and sift. Beat the egg well, add it to the milk. Melt the butter and stir it into the milk. Mix all together. Bake for 20 minutes in a shallow buttered tin in a hot oven. Little breakfast or tea rolls. 3/4 pound flour, 2 ounces butter, 1 ounce powdered sugar, a dessertspoonful of baking powder, a little milk. Stir the sugar and baking powder into the flour, then rub the butter into it. Mix with the milk into rather a stiff paste. Form into little balls, rolling them lightly on a pasteboard with the hand to get them smooth, about 3 inches in length and a good inch wide and thick. Bake on a floured tin in a hot oven. Quickly made scones. 1 pint sour milk, 1 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 2 teaspoons melted butter, flour. Add the butter to the milk, dissolve the soda in it. Stir in sufficient flour to make a dough that can be rolled out. Mix, roll out lightly and quickly, cut into round shapes, bake in a quick oven. Scones. 1 pound flour, 2 ounces fresh butter, 1 ounce white powdered sugar, 1/2 ounce cream of tartar, 1/4 ounce carbonate of soda, a little milk or buttermilk. Put the flour in a large basin and add the sugar, soda, and cream of tartar. Rub the butter thoroughly into the flour. Mix into a paste with the milk as lightly as possible. Roll it out lightly to about 1/2 inch in thickness. Cut in rounds the size of a large saucer and divide each round into 4 quarters. Bake on flour tins in a hot oven. Soda scones. 1 quart sifted flour, 1 even teaspoon salt, 1 even teaspoon carbonate of soda, 2 teaspoons cream of tartar, 1 large tablespoon butter, milk about 1 pint. Mix the soda, salt, and cream of tartar with the flour. Sift twice. Rub in the butter with the fingers. Add the milk gradually, mixing lightly with a knife until just stiff enough to be handled. Then turn the dough out onto a well-floured board. Flour the rolling pin and roll, or rather dab out the mixture until about half an inch thick. Cut into rounds and bake at once on a floured tin for about 10 minutes. In making these scones, the mixture, once the butter has been rubbed into the flour, must be touched as little as possible with the hands. Tea buns. 1 pound flour, 2 ounces butter, 1 tablespoon powdered sugar, 1/4 pound currants, 1/2 teaspoon bicarbonate of soda, 1/2 teaspoon tartaric acid, 1 egg, 1 pint milk. Mix the soda and tartaric acid with the flour. Sift the flour, rub in the butter, add the sugar and the currants. Beat up the egg in a large basin, add the milk to it, and when well mixed stir in the flour, etc., gradually. Bake in a quick oven in small cakes in a buttered baking tin. Tea cakes. No. 1. 1/2 pound fine flour, 3/4 ounce German yeast, 1 ounce powdered sugar, 1 egg, 1/2 pint milk, very bare measure, 2 ounces fresh butter. Dissolve the yeast in a little of the milk and rub down smoothly. Put the flour and sugar into a pan and mix them together. Then rub in the butter and add the egg previously beaten. Next add the yeast by degrees, stirring it in with a wooden spoon, and then gradually add sufficient milk to make the mixture of the consistency of an ordinary cake or stiff batter. Beat it for 5 to 10 minutes. Set it to rise before the fire, covered with a cloth and protected from the draught. Let it rise for an hour. Fill 2 or 3 buttered tins half full and bake in a very hot oven. Lay them on a sieve to cool when turned out of the tins. Tea cakes. No. 2. 2 pounds flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/4 pound lard, 1 egg, yeast the size of a walnut, milk. Mix the salt with the flour and then rub the lard thoroughly into it. Beat the egg well and stir the yeast into it. Add to the flour with enough milk to make a paste. Knead well. Let it rise for a couple of hours in a warm place. Form it into round cakes on tins. Let them rise for 20 minutes and bake from quarter to half an hour. Tea cakes. No. 3. 1 pound flour, 1 pint milk, 2 eggs, 1/2 pound sugar, 2 tablespoons baking powder. Mix and sift the dry ingredients together. Add the milk with which the well-beaten eggs have been mixed and a little salt. Bake in flat round tins. Tea cakes made with self-raising flour. 2 cups self-raising flour, 1 tablespoon butter, milk or cream. Rub the butter well into the flour. Add a little salt. Make it a dough with a little milk or sour cream. Roll out, cut into small rounds, bake in a quick oven, split open, butter, and serve at once. York cakes. 1/2 pound fine flour, 6 ounces butter, 1 ounce castor sugar, 1 yolk, a little milk. Rub the butter into the flour, add the yolk previously well beaten, and then sufficient milk to mix into a paste. Roll out about 3/4 of an inch thick and cut into squares about 2½ inches square, and cut these again into triangles. Bake on a floured tin until a delicate brown. Yorkshire cakes. 1 pound flour, 2 spoonfuls yeast, 1 egg, 3 ounces butter, 1/2 pint warm milk. Rub the butter into the flour, add the yeast, egg, and milk. Beat the whole well together. Set to rise in a warm place for 3/4 of an hour. Cut into round cakes. Set to rise again. Bake in a moderate oven. Wash over when baked with milk and sugar. End of section 13.
Section 14 of the Cake and Biscuit Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Larry Wilson. The Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas. Schoolroom Cakes. Fruit cake without eggs. 1 cup butter, 1 cup sugar, 1½ pints sifted flour, 1 pound stoned and chopped raisins, 1 teaspoon grated nutmeg, 1 teaspoon powdered cinnamon, 1 pint sour milk or cream, 1 teaspoon soda. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar. Beat again very thoroughly. Add 1 pint of flour. Mix the raisins and spices with half a pint of flour. Add them to the mixture. Mix thoroughly and beat 5 minutes. Dissolve the soda in the sour milk. Stir it in. Bake at once in buttered tins 1 hour in a moderate oven. Gingerbread. 1 pound flour, 1/2 pound butter, 1/2 pound treacle, 1/2 pound sugar, 2 tablespoons powdered ginger, 1 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 3 eggs. Melt the butter, sugar, and treacle in a saucepan, and pour them gradually, when not too hot, over the well-beaten eggs, stirring continually. Add the soda and ginger, then the flour, stirring it well in. Bake in a slow oven for 1 hour and a half in a well-greased tin. 1 egg cake. 1/2 cup butter, 1 cup powdered sugar, 1 egg, 1 cup milk, 2 cups flour, 1/2 teaspoon carbonate of soda, 1 teaspoon cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon vanilla or the grated rind and juice of half a lemon. Cream the butter and add the sugar. Beat well together. Beat the egg till light and add it, and then the milk with the soda dissolved in it. Stir in the flour with which the cream of tartar should be mixed. Beat well together and add the vanilla. Bake in a shallow tin in a moderate oven for half an hour. Plain sultana cake. 1 pound flour, 1/4 pound butter, 1/4 pound sugar, 1/2 pound sultanas, currants or raisins, 2 ounces peel, 2 eggs, 1/2 pint milk. Rub the butter into the flour. Add the sugar, then the peel cut into small pieces, and well-floured fruit. Beat the eggs till light and creamy. Add them to the mixture. Dissolve the soda in the milk. Work all together thoroughly with the hands. Bake at once for 1 hour to 1 hour and a half. Or, substitute 1 teaspoon baking powder for the carbonate of soda. Beat the butter to a cream. Add the sugar, eggs, and fruit, beating all the time. Mix the baking powder with the flour. Add the flour to the mixture with the milk and beat well. Bake about 1½ hours in a moderate oven. Seed cake, lunch. 1 pound flour, 1/4 pound dripping or butter, 1/4 pound moist sugar, 1 teaspoon ground caraway seed, 1 egg, 1 ounce candied peel, 1/2 pint milk, 1/2 teaspoon carbonate of soda. Rub the butter into the flour. Add sugar, seed, candied peel, egg, and the milk in which the soda has been dissolved. Mix the whole thoroughly, working together with the hand. Bake at once for 1¼ hours in a moderate oven. End of section 14. End of the Cake and Biscuit Book by Elizabeth Douglas.